Guys, I'm going to try to make this video as quick and precise as possible. So as we are all aware, there is a speculated artifact set that could be releasing in the near future. That artifact set provides us a 2-piece and a 4-piece bonus that could benefit Mona's elemental burst and potentially raising Mona's burst peaks even higher. So just to begin on explaining what it actually does. So the two-piece set provides 20 energy recharge. So converting that into Mona's energy recharge conversion into hydro damage, that is about 4% hydro damage, which is not a lot. And then while the 4-piece basically increases your elemental burst damage, basis on the fact that it will convert 30% of your total energy recharge into that increased burst damage percentage, which will only allow you to increase it up to a maximum cap of 75%. Now, what that all means is that now coming to my Excel spreadsheet, so this is going to be a very boring video, guys. No, cool looking gameplays going on. It's just going to be me and this really poorly edited video. So what we can see here, going to the max energy recharge cap. So essentially that means 250% energy recharge will convert 30% of that energy recharge into 75%, reaching the maximum elemental burst increased damage cap. Now, for us to get 250% energy recharge, luckily Mona gains a conversion rate of 20% of that, which will be an extra 50 hydro damage on top of that. So not only Mona will benefit on gaining the additive bonus of the elemental burst damage, she will also gain some additional hydro damage on the side as well. So that becomes roughly a total with a hydro damage goblet of 171 additives. Now, if we were to half-ass it, so that being like we're not going to focus on energy recharge substats or main stats in our gear, we're simply going to transition over to the 4-piece set, and we just go for a standard of 180 energy recharge. Still, it is quite high, the additives given for her elemental burst already. Now, if we scroll down to a standard build, like a standard energy recharge build of, oops, let me just change that to 152. So 152 energy recharge, or actually, sorry, no, 150. So 150, my bad, guys. So 150, hydro damage 30% gain. She does not gain anything from this set because we're using a standard set. So she only gains that additive amplification plus that, plus the hydro damage bonus and plus the Noblesse bonus. That gives us roughly around 111. So you can see there's a huge gap here according to this graph. Doesn't make much big of a difference. In this graph, yes, but I'll get into the details now. So what we're going to look at first is basically main DPS Mona. This doesn't take into account Bennett and Sucrose. So what I've compared it with is the 4-piece set right here compared with the standard 2-piece Hydro Noblesse, which is quite popular with a lot of Mona users, and the 2-piece Hydro Wanderers set. Both, initially have 161 ER, whereas the new set has 181 ER because of the 2-piece bonus. Oops, sorry. So what we can, so if we scroll down here, I'm going to call it the Weeb set. So I'm not going to address it by whatever its name is, just for my own safety. Just for my own safety. And this is just a speculated artifact that could not even be real, right? It's not even real. I'm just doing it for the sake of just being curious. So what we can see here is that the Wanderers and the Hydro set, basically when doing a vaporized burst, will definitely beat the 2-piece Hydro and Noblesse set. But that will change when you add in Sucrose. And we can actually see it actually becomes very close to the 4-piece Weeb set. Just pure hydro damage, elemental burst, we can see it's just a linear up to down kind of thing, because as we know, Wanderer's EM doesn't benefit pure hydro damage. And you can see the graphs in here for normal attacks and charge attacks is almost like the same and not much of a separation with each other. But for Vaporize, the Wanderers does make sets kind of a little gap. But when we add in Bennett and Sucrose into the factor, yeah, hydro damage remains the same. This still remains the same. It's only Vaporize that really changes it up a bit. So now we can see the 2-piece Hydro with Noblies, with 2-piece Hydro and Wanderers kind of almost closing the gap together. However, the 4-piece Weeb set has separated itself from the other two, setting itself a new peak in elemental burst damage for Mona. But as we can see here, for Vaporize standard hits like with normal attacks and charge attacks, it doesn't do too well because the fact that it is basically it's only really improving the separation of the elemental burst rather than the normal and charge attacks itself. Would this mean that all our Monas would need to transition over to this? I would probably transition over to it only if under one condition, that the new set provides me at least equal or better substats than my current Hydro Wanderers or Hydro Gladiators or Hydro Noblies set. I've got a lot of sets for Mona for all different kinds of scenarios, whether that be main carry, main DPS Mona, Electrocharge Mona, Freeze Mona, and Vaporize one-shotting Mona. I've got a lot for them. And for me to transition over to this one set and having to rely on it will take me a very long time. But however, the good thing about this set is that it will benefit a lot of future supports. Supports like Xiangling and Beidou that have energy recharge issues can be resolved with this set, but I wouldn't know the specific details of how it should be built or structured. So I'll leave that up to those mains groups to decide on that factor. Whereas in this case scenario, this is only 181 ER, which is energy recharge. That's just basically an extra 20 from a standard build, right? Now, because 181 only gives you about 54% of an additive to the elemental burst, that's not really capping it out, is it? We want to see the capped out 75% potential. Perhaps that's even better. I'll be honest with you, no, it's not. So if I were to, I'm just going to go straight to the comparison between the Bennett and Sucrose added factor. But the only difference is I'm going to swap attack sands with ER sands. So my attack sands originally does not have any ER or attack on it. It has flat attack, crit rate, crit damage, and HP percent. So it was just an easy swap in the calculations to determine this. Oops. So now we have a total of 232 energy recharge with 46% hydro damage boost in comparison to the the previous one here. This is a 36%. So additionally, we have gained an extra almost 10% of a boost, opting out at attack sands for an ER energy recharge sands, and we are almost close to the cap, right, of 75% elemental burst damage increase. Now, does this do more? So we can see here 136k Vaporize non-critted damage with the Weeb set. Now if I were to compare this to the attack sounds one, the attack sounds ones does 143k. Same thing, same, Bennett and Sucrose, non-crit. So essentially going higher and higher in the energy recharge area only just provides you less and less damage overall for your Mona. So all I can really say is in this point in time, just of how it's kind of worded or the effect of it currently is at the moment, it is basically a set that would only really benefit you in it would benefit your Mona's elemental burst, no doubt about it. But the thing is that I wouldn't go all out of my way to get more energy recharge. I would just still focus on the main offensive stats such as crit rate, crit damage, attack percent, elemental mastery even, for your sub DPS Mona. And it's going to be very hard to replace our existing sets that we've had for about 6 months now, to slowly transition to this area. I mean, it is a transition that we would eventually need to make, but I wouldn't need to really rush it, because what I'm trying to get is I'm trying to maximize Mona's damage even further. I mean, yes, it comes at a loss that I lose out on normal attacks and charge attacks for her as a sub DPS, but I gain a more higher peak area of damage with her elemental burst. Now, whether or not where I want to use this for main DPS Mona, that is kind of a questionable thing that I would need to determine once I get the substats on the new set. But yeah, that's just what I've just quickly put together. This is all just basis on the current speculated effects of that 4-piece set. You know, take this, don't take this like as the official type of information for this set, as MiHoYo can change this effect at any point in time. I'm only going basis on what was already presented, and this is what I have currently through just trying to seek out whether Mona does gain a benefit from it or not. She does gain somewhat of a benefit, but I wouldn't trade out your attack or EM sands for an ER sands just to fully cap out the elemental burst increased damage percentage. But let's just say if you're new to building Mona and you've got nothing for her, yeah, you can just build her like that. Doesn't really matter, because you're not coming from a place where you've already established very optimal stats for your Mona. If you're coming from a place where your Mona stats are pretty optimal and pretty good, it will take you time to transition over, if you don't want to transition over at a loss. That's all. This makes her more of a better support and better burst support though. Better burst DPS support, sorry. Yeah, more reliable, faster burst. It's a great set to have, I'll be honest, in the near future to have on your Mona. It's just the question is, how long will it take to get me to beat my own substats on my current gear?